assure you of my country's readiness to cooperate with you to achieve the objectives of this session. I would also like to thank your predecessor for his efforts as the President of the 75th session. I would also like to commend the efforts of the Secretary General to achieve the purposes and goals of the United Nations. This session is convened in difficult times brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic and its dragging human losses and economic hardships. It is therefore incumbent upon all of us to reaffirm the calls of the United Nations and the WHO. That is, the only way to address the pandemic is through solidarity, international cooperation, and coordinated efforts. We reiterate the Secretary General's call for the global ceasefire and halt of armed conflict and providing resources to address the pandemic. Mr. President, in my address before you today, I will focus on the developments in Libya and the related challenges and concerns, particularly with the approaching date of elections in December. Libya is at a critical juncture, a fate-defining moment. We either succeed in the democratic transition by means of fair, free, transparent elections, the results of which are acceptable to all, then move towards sustained stability and prosperity, or we fail and relapse into division and armed conflict. Against this backdrop and the related concerns, the need for meaningful guarantees to achieve the success aspired by all Libyans to establish a civil democratic state becomes more evident. Despite the achievements made in holding the ceasefire by disabling any attempt to undermine it and resolving any disagreement among the parties, and despite working with the Joint Military Committee to open the road linking eastern Libya with the western side, the issue of taking the foreign mercenaries and forces out of the country remains a real challenge. In this regard, we call on the international community to shoulder its responsibility in supporting the current endeavors to address it, with a view to securing the conducive environment for safe, free, fair, and transparent elections. Mr. President, since assuming office, we have been working on many significant issues and making considerable strides to ensure the full implementation of agreed commitments, particularly the roadmap, which is a product of the political dialogue, the outcomes of Berlin Track, and the relevant Security Council resolutions. We, however, are faced with serious challenges and quick-paced developments, which compel us, out of responsibility, to think of more realistic and practical options to avoid an impasse in the political process, which could in turn undermine the looming elections and bring us back to square one. In light of the above, from this rostrum, I announce a call that includes a number of elements and steps that has as its aim maintaining the political process and sparing the country further complex crises. Our call focuses on the meeting of the stakeholders represented by leaders of relevant political and military institutions to facilitate reaching an agreement on effective guarantees to maintain the political process and conducting safe, transparent, fair elections with results acceptable to all. Working on this track requires, in the first place, a spirit of compromise from all, a spirit of responsibility, and placing the interest of the state above all. Mr. President, over the past years, Libya has received several international initiatives and proposals in an attempt to resolve the crisis. None had enjoyed the necessary conditions for success. So, to restore the sense of initiative and to ensure this initiative is Libyan-owned and Libyan-led, Libya will host an international conference in October to launch Support Libya's Stability Initiative. This initiative addresses the political, security, military, and economic tracks based on the previous outcomes on Libya. The initiative aims at ensuring the continuation of international support in a unified, consistent, coherent manner according to a comprehensive national vision. The conference will be attended by relevant national bodies and institutions and regional and international partners. Mr. President, no doubt, national reconciliation is a key element for the success of any political process and achieving durable stability. Therefore, the Presidency Council, since its inception, has made this its utmost priority. It has established the High Commission for National Reconciliation and launched the Comprehensive Reconciliation on September 6. Many steps are being taken to restore trust among Libyans, the first of which has been the exchange of detainees and the release of a number of prisoners who have either served their sentence or proven innocent. We all know that the road to reconciliation is long and arduous. To walk it down till the end, applying transitional justice, truth, openness, acknowledging past wrongdoings, reparations, return of displaced, and identifying the fate of the missing are necessary. Only with these steps can we move towards a successful, genuine, comprehensive national reconciliation. Mr. President, on the economic front, the Libyan Presidential Council is actively and committedly considering the outcomes of the economic track sponsored by the UN Support Mission in Libya, with the participation of Libyan experts. We believe the outcome recommendations serve as an element of the solution to settle the conflict in Libya. These recommendations range from addressing the current economic bottlenecks to streamlining economic institutions and eventually working on the strategic economic issues like wealth sharing, economic restructuring, and recovery. Mr. President, the UN has as one of its purposes the coordination of international efforts to address challenges, crises, and threats facing the world. My country, being a member of the UN organization, has always been and is still an active participant in these international efforts. Libya has always condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, irrespective of its sources, motives, or justifications. We have always stressed that terrorism is an international phenomenon and should not be linked to any religion or belief. We have suffered one of the most ferocious and barbarous forms of terrorism all over Libya. We sacrificed our youth to free it from terrorism. The whole world, near and far, has witnessed our epic action to uproot ISIS from the pure land of Libya. By doing so, we made great contributions to the global efforts to combating terrorism at the regional and international levels. Mr. President, despite the security and economic challenges facing my country over the past years, we have not forgotten about the protection and promotion of human rights as one of our priorities.